Today I am yet again going to be taking a look at a show that I have never seen before, and that is the Amazing Digital Circus. Now I know next to nothing about the show. I know there's a clown character named Pomnia, who I think is the main character, and there's this very weird looking like purple rabbit guy with like a crooked, janky smile who looks like he might want to do something a little bit unconsensual to me. Like if he was in the corner of the room, I'm just sitting there minding my business, all of a sudden I look over and he's going, and then he starts getting a little handsy. That's the vibe that character gives me, but I don't know. I know nothing about this show, so maybe he's the coolest guy in the world. I don't know. Either way, the Amazing Digital Circus is one of the most requested shows for me to review on the channel, and I don't really know why. I've never seen an episode, I've never seen a clip. All I know is that people seem to love it. So today I'm going to be checking out the first few episodes to see, is the Amazing Digital Circus worth the hype? Is it just, overhyped? Or is it actually just really good? Is it bad? Those are the questions I'm going to be trying to answer today. And if you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe because I upload every single day and you don't want to miss it. We're on that road to 50,000 subscribers. And if you want a place where you can talk about your favorite games, movies, and shows, my Discord will be in the description. If the content here on YouTube just isn't enough for you, the Patreon will also be down there in the description. Now let's finally take a look at the Amazing Digital Circus. Taking a look at the pilot for the series, this show is completely different from what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was kind of going to be a happy-go-lucky show where, oh, we're at a circus, oh, look at me juggle, oh, yes. I thought it was going to kind of be like that, but the entire idea of a human being thrust into this wacky, whimsical world and just, like, losing her shit because none of this makes sense, it honestly feels like a LSD psychotic nightmare in which she's hallucinating all of this stuff. Like, genuinely, if this entire episode happened and then she woke up and she was just, like, drooling on the floor from this insane trip that she was going on, I would have believed that more than everything that was happening in the episode because it would just make sense. Everything that just coincides with her journey just feels like a trip to me, but either way, she is a suffering character. We're introduced to Pomni, and she is a human in this weird world. There's the ringmaster named Kane, who is literally just floating teeth and eyeballs, which is a little bit off-putting. We get to see the characters Jax, we get to see Ragatha, all these different characters, and that purple, unconsensual looking rabbit, he's actually a very interesting character, and he's like very sassy to his nature, which I actually did like a lot more. His vibe of wanting to touch me, like, went away pretty fast, but he still looks like he'd want to touch me, but now that I know him a little bit, I can tell that he's probably going to be a character who's like, oh yes, it's just silly fun, now I'm going to be sassy and satirical this entire time, and then all of a sudden, I'm going to have a deep reveal about my past and who I am as a person, and it's going to be very important to a plot of one specific episode. That's at least the vibe of what his character gives me. But either way, I'm having fun with this beginning because it's just Pomni tweaking and freaking out because why is any of this happening? She tries to curse and it's all bleeped out and she doesn't understand any of that. And everybody's just saying like, what the fuck is going on? Oh god, you'll be stuck here for years, Pomni. Like everybody's just making her geek. And then it doesn't help, like, that the ringmaster then wants to give her a tour of this entire place and like starts sucking her into a vacuum, showing her the like carnival tent, showing her the ground, showing her everything around this area. And then he does like this weird thing with his eyes where there's like a ton of eyes just watching her all at the same time. And I was immediately thinking, okay, this is definitely a acid nightmare where I can keep my hundreds of all-seeing eyes on you. Just a little bit, just thinking that, I wouldn't be surprised. So all of that is happening, and he eventually takes her back to where the others are. Pomni rightfully throws up everywhere, and then there's this little character named Bubble who just starts licking it up, like licking it up real good, and the ringmaster Kane just insults her like, why are you like this? I thought that was pretty good. I do like how wacky all the characters are. I like their designs. I like the animation for the show. I think it's all very interesting and different compared to everything I've seen. If it wasn't like this and it kind of was just a happy-go-lucky circus show, I probably wouldn't like it as much. But because every single character in it is tweaking and dealing with a mental illness, I think it's a little bit more fun. I just gotta say that. So then Pomni doesn't remember her name. I'm calling her Pomni, obviously, because I already know her name. But she doesn't know her name, so the Kane, the ringmaster, decides to pick it for her, and I just love this scene where he's, like, flicking down a slot machine, and it lands on a name that's just XXDCC, and was like, alright, darling, would you like the name?
Anything.
Let's see! What do you think of...
Yeah, I thought that was good. And then they land on Pomni, and Pomni is good. That's a fine name. Good enough. And then they decide that they want to do a brand new adventure for Pomni to help her adjust to this world. And we just get to see some more interesting characters like Kinger, who's living inside of a pillow fort, and then they throw it out and he's like, "My impenetrable fortress, no!" And then he just acts really normal. Again, I think all the characters being super wacky is really fun, but also like they're on a just declining mental path is just a very interesting combo, especially when you're looking at all these bright colors and bright shenanigans. It's just a lot more interesting. So everybody's tweaking just a little bit. I do love what what's his face, Jax, the rabbit guy, says to Pomni, where they're just walking through this hall. They're going to see this guy, I think Coffo. They're going to see that guy. They're walking down a hall, and Jax is all like, "Good thing all this is just a dream, right, Pomni?" And then it just cuts to her face, and she's like the biggest face of like
Thank goodness this is all a dream, right, Pomni?
That's the best way that I could describe this emotion. She is just losing her mind, and then they open the door, and this won't help with it. It is literally Coffee, whatever his name is, as this big amalgamation of black ooze with a bunch of eyes on it. He's apparently gone too off his rocker. He's like, "I can't survive in this digital world!" And that just causes him to expand as big as Lizzo, just getting real bigged up, and he starts chasing them and beating them up, and like, I don't know, it's just so stupid, but it looks so funny when Coffee grabs Ragatha and just starts beating her to a bloody pulp, throwing her everywhere.
Funny, I was just having a bit of a bad day!
I love that. I always love the beginning of a series when you have no connection to a character, so if it just starts getting beat and harassed, you're just like, yes! Yes! It's visually hilarious! Oh dear! So that happens. Pomni tries to help Ragatha, but she gets touched, and now her skin is all glitchy and such, so she has to run away. That was an interesting concept. You know, that was cool. That was cool. So Jax is a little bit of a sassy fella. He runs and he finds Kinger and what's his face? Gangle, that guy, and they're staring at this hole that they're supposed to go down into for this brand new adventure to find these like weird looking creature guys. And so they go down there, and they're all hanging out, and there's like this weird, giant fucking alligator cube thing. I don't know, it's like the final boss of geometry. Like, if instead of just sitting in class learning about geometry, if you had to fight like a final creature, like an Elden Ring boss, that's what this thing would be. It's just a giant geometric alligator thing, and it's like, that's not a good voice for it.
Who brings you into my domain?
Oh, okay, fuck that. We'll just talk normal. Oh my god. Okay, so there's this giant alligator, and it's sitting there, and it's like, "Who gives you the right to be in my domain, oh lord?" And then Jax is like, "Well, I think you should have asked me for consent before, you know, making me look at you." And she's like, oh, how dare you, how dare you, oh god. It's like the reaction of if you, like, insulted Ariana Grande in front of Cynthia Erivo. That's probably how it would go. That's how this thing is reacting to just the smallest little insult. It is not taking it very nicely. So we then cut back to Pomni, and Pomni is just walking, trying to understand things. She has this deep longing look into a mirror, and then eventually she sees the black coffee thing again and starts running away from it, trying to get away from it, and she ends up finding an infinite exit, which just even more than it already was establishes this LSD nightmare where she opens the door, runs to another exit, it's not there, it doesn't exist, and she keeps doing it on loop, just non-stop. So that's just a little bit sad for you, Pomni. A little bit sad. Little bit frightening, to say the least. So they're dealing with this alligator thing, Jax, Gangle, and Kinger, and then all of a sudden the, like, coffee giant black thing, like the eel of ooze and eyes, it just falls through the ceiling and just collapses onto its back, like if instead of Bane, like, lifting Batman up into the ceiling and breaking him down like that, imagine Bane just, like Batman's on a table, like, he's just, like, hung like this, and Bane just does, like, an elbow drop from, like, 50 feet ahead and just cracks into his spine.
You're still watching it?
I'm not here for the adventure or anything. I'm just here to hide from the...
That's basically what happens to that thing. And so Jax, Gangle, and Kinger all get out of there, wondering where Pomni is. And then Pomni eventually does open a door that leads to the void, and I think the animation here is impeccable, beautiful, everything you can need, where she's just staring out to this infinite abyss. Kane realizes this, and he's at a weird lunch with Bubble. I don't know if Bubble and Kane are gonna get freaky, but either way, Kane goes and grabs Pomni, takes her back, and Pomni is just going a little bit crazy, a little bit freaky to say the least, and they all eat dinner, and that pretty much ends the episode. Honestly, way more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I had no idea that it would have all these twists and turns because I genuinely knew nothing about the show going into it. So overall, this is definitely a show that I would want to see more. I want to watch more episodes, and obviously I'm going to watch more episodes for this video, but just what I'm saying, like, they did a great job just like keeping everything more of a mystery as to what's going on. What does Kane actually know about this world? All of Pomni's reactions are really hilarious, but also really sad at the same time. All of these different characters can clearly have a lot more levels to them, specifically Ragatha and Jax. I don't know if the other characters will have a super duper importance in the overall show, but there's a lot of different ways that you could go with this, like Pomni trying to escape, Pomni trying to understand this world. I wonder if Pomni actually did put on a VR headset, or if something else happened and her memory was just wrong because she couldn't even remember her name or anything. I don't know. I have a lot of questions, but overall, this was a lot of fun. I laughed, I'm invested, I like the characters, I like the world, I like the animation. Overall, the first episode of the Amazing Digital Circus, compared to a lot of the other shows I've seen, this is a solid 10 out of 10. Taking a look at episode 2, we open with Pomni having this dream where she's falling in this abyss. She's saying hello, her arm turns into one of those like abstract monster things, and everybody's laughing at her, and then she eventually does wake up, and everything gets a little bit more silly again. But I did like that opening animation-wise. I thought it was pretty interesting. I like Pomni's weird descent into madness, and I wonder if that's going to keep playing like a role, or if she's going to become one of those abstract like monster ooey gooey black ooze things eventually. That would be interesting, or she gets close to a character who becomes one of those. I don't know. There's a lot of reactions and a bunch of different paths that you could go down with that, so it's overall a pretty interesting concept. So Ragatha wakes up Pomni, and I don't know what it is. It's just kind of a very common theme with Ragatha's character, that she's very caring towards Pomni, and I can't tell if that's just who she is as a person, like she's just very nice, or if she's trying to flick Pomni's bean, because sometimes she'll just be like, Pomni, are you okay? Oh my god, oh! Like, I don't know, like, you're working a little too hard to just be your friend there. Like, it's a little bit odd, but you know, maybe she could also be having like this descent into madness, and she's watched too many friends go, so she just cares and wants this new person to be equipped and mentally prepared to survive the digital circus. I don't know. Either way, they get all the way to the stand, and that is when Kane starts describing their day and what they're going to be doing. They're going to be going to, like, this candy kingdom and stopping these bandits and getting their truck and whatnot, and it's all very interesting, but Pomni says one of the best things you could possibly say, especially when you're thrust into a situation like this. She's just like, so, basically your guys' entire existence is just LARPing.
So, our entire existence here is just LARPing.
And yeah, that's pretty much exactly what they're doing. I don't know. I thought that was pretty fucking funny. Like, can you imagine, like, telling that? Like, I'm surprised Kane doesn't get a little bit angry. Like, sometimes he looks like he's, like, thinking deep in thought, or that, like, he's seen something traumatic. But I don't know, if somebody, like, looked at you and said exactly what you just said everybody's gonna do for the day and was just like, you're fucking LARPing, then I would be a little bit angry. Especially, like, I don't know, imagine, like, I don't know, like a 6 foot tall, like, string bean. He's got glasses on. He's wearing a Squire outfit. And every single Saturday, he loves to go LARPing. So much so that he just never takes off his outfit. He's just sitting there, like, geeking over the fact that he is going to get to go LARPing again. And you point out that it's just LARPing, and he starts beating you to death with a stick. Like, that's what I feel like Kane's character would be, but he seems to just take it all in stride. So they go to this candy kingdom, and they're just talking. They're the heroes of the town. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be great. They're excited. I mean, not really, but they see the princess, and Ragatha, she's all up on Pomni. She's like, oh, are you so excited to see the princess? Oh, it's going to be so wonderful. Oh. And I like Pomni's reaction again. I really do like her character, where I'm not a child. You don't need to get me excited. You don't have to do this.
Look, Pomni, we're already friends with the princess.
I'm not a child. You don't have to hype me up.
I guess
Like, I like that. I like that she's very real in a lot of situations. It genuinely more or less feels like a actual person was thrust into this world. And I think the voice acting's good. I think character-wise, I think she's written very well, at least so far just for episode 2. I'm enjoying it nonetheless. So they all gotta go, and they gotta catch these crocodiles. They gotta catch these crocodile gummy guys, and they're driving in the semi-truck just out in the desert. We get to see the gummy crocodiles, and they're talking about their mothers and their families in a town, and it starts the battle. So they're going at it, and Jax is a major highlight here. Again, I thought he was going to be a character that might go through some kind of change later on in the series. He might, but he's just very non-caring about everybody around him because he just picks up Pomni, throws her out of the car, and just is like making her a bridge, and then Pomni almost dies. They have this big like battle. It was enjoyable. Pomni and like the leader of the gummy crocodiles, they end up getting thrust out of the entire world all the way down into like, I don't know what you'd call it, like the mainframe, the in-between, where the NPCs like are just sitting there T-posing, just getting a good old-fashioned T-pose in. And that's where we get one of the most interesting plotlines I've seen in any show, which is tackling a NPC dealing with the fact that he's not real. And obviously this has been done in other forms of media, but here it actually felt very serious, in which this gummy crocodile dude, he's just staring at himself, and he doesn't know what he is. He doesn't know why all of his friends are here. He doesn't understand anything, and the conversation that he has with Pomni is actually very deep, where he asks what he is and why he can't remember his mother's face, why he can't remember anything about his life. Was it all fake?
I have a mom?
Shouldn't she be here with everyone else? I can't even remember her face. Did she ever have a face?
And of course it is. It's actually a very sad realization to have. He's a broken, defeated man, and I actually love the way they handled this. I mean, I feel like if I found out my entire world was fake, I'd probably just, I don't know, get dressed and go and punch Amy Schumer in the face. Try my best to do that because I'm not even real, so what's the point? Might as well go and say, haha, remember when you made a joke about your vagina? And just give her a good old-fashioned, because I'm not real. What's the loss that could happen there? But either way, they do have a deep talk, and Pomni eventually convinces him to come back to the circus with her, because then at least he can try to be real. I loved that entire aspect of the episode. I thought that was interesting. I thought it was deep. I thought it was fun. I liked that. And then everything else that's going on with Jax and Ragatha and Kinger, they fell into like this lake, and there's this chocolate monster guy who's like, oh, I just love eating candy. I still think about the candy people I ate. Oh, you know, he's just thinking about that, and Jax offers him a lot of candy if he helps them out, and the gummy crocodile dudes, they get immediately sucked like a vortex back to the fudge monster, and so they start their journey heading back to, you know, the Candy Kingdom. At the same time, Pomni and Gummy Crocodile Man, they are driving up. Visually, a lot of fun. Animation-wise, a lot of fun. They managed to get all the way up out of there, and they catch up with Jax, Ragatha, and the Fudge Monster. The Fudge Monster is brutally killed, or so we thought, by the truck returning. So that happens, and then they all walk back to the Candy Kingdom. They think that they're all heroes, and then it turns out that the Fudge Monster is still alive, and he's going to come and eat all the candy people because Jax left the gate open. And that's pretty much the entire episode, except for one, ultimately, untimely, sad death. Like, they put probably 9 minutes into giving this gummy crocodile dude just a moment of realization, a moment of true sadness, the realization that his mother was never real, his family, his friends, his hometown, nothing matters, he doesn't matter, and then Pomni gives him the hope that he can have a real life, and then he walks in, and Kane's like, what the fuck is that? And just kills him, wipes him out of existence.
Hard-shelled hamburgers!
So this is the circus, huh? I gotta get used to this.
Oh, looks like one of these guys made it through!
Wait, what?
It's like, I can't remember if it's an NPC. I can't remember if it's you. I just gotta get. There can't be any more of you, or else I'll start going crazy. You know, I wasn't expecting that because it was just like all for nothing. Like his entire arc, it's just tragic. I wonder, because they did mention that NPCs can come back, I wonder if he'll return, but I wonder if he'll have any of the memories of his realization or anything, or if he'll just be the same guy. That's always an interesting concept, I guess. Overall, this episode was fun. I don't think it had the same whimsy or pull as the first episode, but the first episode was a pilot, what they were using to pitch the entire series, I assume, or at least a little bit of it. So obviously it wasn't going to be just so off the walls. This one was definitely more focused on a specific plot line, that being the Candy Bandits, but it still did tackle a lot of very interesting situations that I was all for. The entire NPC plot line where you're figuring out that you're real, you're dealing with the loss of everything, that was so cool. Pomni's reaction to it helped me like her as a character more. She genuinely seems like a good person in a really odd situation. It actually makes me want to know what's going on with her real life version, if she actually put on a VR headset, whatever that might be. Like, I want to know how she got in this situation, if somebody on the outside is doing this to her, if she tried to play a weird game, if she went on a bad site, if she went on xxxhamster.com and this is what happened to her. Like, there's so much to it that I want to know about that it does keep me very invested in the show. Same with the other aspect of the show, which is a lot more down to earth. All the stuff that was going on with Jax and Ragatha and Kinger and the truck and the fudge, that felt like a lot more comedic relief, but it still like was a good balance with what was going on. It was very deep at one point, and then you have Jax just being a little prick with a fudge monster for a little bit, and it's still a lot of fun. So overall, I did really like this episode. I don't think it hits every single beat that the first one did in terms of my enjoyment. So if I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would give it a solid 9 out of 10. It doesn't reach that 10 mark, but it's a 9 out of 10 for me. This is really well told. It's very interesting. It feels very different from a lot of stuff that I've ever seen. So overall, I'm really enjoying the series so far. Taking a look at episode 3, this one does tackle those deep themes, but also has some very unique animation and some slapstick humor to go with it. It's also just a great balance. I feel like this show is very good at doing that. I don't know, there's a lot to like about it. So this episode opens with them just all watching Pomni as she holds her breath to see what happens, because apparently each character does something very unique when they hold their breath. In this case, Pomni changes colors, so that's very cool. And then Kane describes what they're going to be doing for their LARPing expose today. And they're going to be going to this haunted mansion to catch all the ghosts there. It's going to be so fun. Kane, he immediately noticed that Zubul is once again not there, and he is very upset about this.
Who can? Where's Zubul? I made this adventure really cool, and
I love his reaction, and that sets up our B-plot for the episode, where Kane is going to give a therapy session to beat Zubul, and I just enjoy it overall. So they go to the mansion, and they're like just walking through. There's this little ghostly guide who's all like, "Oh, hello, everybody. All right, well, you want to check out that door right there? That door's gonna have something passive and nice. This door right here, it's gonna be a little bit scary." You know, and Jax just brutally assaults him, brutally kills him. That was, you know, unnecessary. Sucks him up real good with a vacuum, giving him that good old-fashioned ghostly, you know.
It's up to you to decide.
That just stuff you don't really expect. Poor little guy. And Pomni, she's very terrified, and her eyes pop out, and Kinger is holding onto one, and one of the doors opens, and it's a very scary looking door, and Kinger just runs into it, dragging Pomni with him. And then we cut to what's going on with Zubul, and Kane is looking for her, eventually just summons her, and they start having this therapy session. And Zubul is describing everything that Kane does wrong and how nobody really cares about these adventures. It's just made to torture people. And I love just how Kane freaks out here. Just, I don't know. I feel like there's eventually going to be a scene later on in the show where a lot more collapses, or Kane's mental state collapses even more, because just like the slight thought that, you know, people don't like his adventures that he creates literally causes everything to start glitching out, and you could see like little bits and pieces of the void. It was pretty cool. I liked it. Animation wise, pretty dang cool. I was all about it. So we cut to Pomni and Kinger, and they're down in this like little area, and they're listening to audio tapes about this creature that's hunting them. They start walking around, they lose all the lights, they're just walking around having good old conversations, and eventually we do get to see the creature come to light, because apparently it's not dead, it's just a floating head with a bunch of razor sharp teeth. Animation wise, pretty cool. I like the design of it, pretty dang terrifying, and you also blend in that comedy that makes me enjoy it even more, where Kinger's just looking at it, and it opens its jaw real nice and wide, kind of like Pennywise, showing you, I don't know, the most beautiful woman you've ever seen, and he's like, "Oh, it's so beautiful," and Pomni barely manages to save them, and
You look beautiful.
and then they go down. They're in like, I don't know what you call it, just a cellar room, and there's another audio tape that they listen to. and the guy who's playing the auto tape has a shotgun, so they take the shotgun, and Kinger just pulls off a crazy fucking blast. You have this, like, limb creature, like, the body of the creature and the head is separated. It's really cool. Kinger just with a one bullet boom, just takes out both of them at the same time, and then the audio cues in again, and they say, oh, well, don't kill the creature because it's an angel of God, and it will drag you down to the depths of hell. You'd think you would say that, like, earlier. I don't know how you figure that out. How do you even figure that out? I don't know. So Pomni and Kinger, they get dragged down to the depths of hell. It's all very interesting. And at the same time, Jax and Ragatha and Gangle, they are at a dinner table enjoying their passive way, and they finish very early. So we cut back to Pomni and Kinger, and they're just trying to survive down in the depths of hell. Pomni gets possessed in one scene, and that was very interesting animation-wise. Pomni getting, like, exercise-wise, that was all super cool. It was all cool! That's basically all I could say about it. But then we get this very emotional story beat between Kinger and Pomni that I enjoyed a lot, where Kinger, he's very bad at remembering things, but something about this journey has given him time to remember, and apparently he had a wife inside of the digital circus who became abstract, lost her way, and became one of those giant amalgamations of black goo with eyes. And it's just honestly so sad, for one, to know that it is your wife when you come into the game, or the game, the circus, the show, whatever you want to call it, when you come into that, and then to lose her in that way, and to just be in a room full of silence. And even when she is that amalgamation of black goo, you have that moment where you touch her, and she's calm for a second, and then she's dragged down into a cellar, and you never see her again. And obviously, Kinger has lost his mind, so he doesn't really remember that. But either way, regardless, that's a very sad story, and that tackles exactly what I wanted to be explored within this show. The idea of somebody you love being turned into one of those things, and how you would react. And you see Kinger, who has to hide in pillow forts and just loses his mind all the time. It's just makes perfect sense, and it's still very sad, but it makes me very interested in the show. So, Pomni and Kinger, they hold their breath to get through this room of souls that was trying to, possess their bodies. They managed to get out, and they escape the mansion, going back, and that's pretty much the entire episode. I loved the concept for this episode. I think they just keep ramping it up with what they're willing to do. I'm glad I got to watch a horror episode. I thought it was very interesting. Overall, a lot of fun. There's really nothing bad I could possibly say about this episode. Some of the stuff with Zubul and Kane wasn't that interesting to me, but I don't really think that's my fault. I just don't really care very much about Zubul as a character just yet. I'm sure she's going to ramp up and become a lot more interesting, but I do like that they're tackling a lot of ideas of people's reactions to being in this, not wanting to go on Kane's adventures. I kind of like that Kane doesn't force you to go, You don't have to do it, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of interesting concepts. If I was to rate this episode 1 to 10, I would probably give this one a solid 9 out of 10. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I don't think it's as good as the first two. No, I'm gonna go 9 out of 10. I think it did a good job. I think there's a lot to like here. There you go, those are my initial reactions to the Amazing Digital Circus. If you want a part 2 for me to look at more episodes of the Amazing Digital Circus, I'm just going to say 500 likes and I'll do that. But either way, I think I'd watch the show on my own, even if the channel doesn't really want it, if this video doesn't do good, because this show is actually unbelievable. It tackles a lot of really interesting concepts that I've never seen before, such as an NPC coming to life. I mean, I've seen that before, but it did it in a very serious manner that I liked, compared to, I don't know, like fucking Free Guy, where yes, he comes to life, but it ultimately doesn't feel that too serious because it's a comedy. Here it's a comedy, but that crocodile guy, he took it so seriously into heart, not being able to remember his mom's face. That was very deep. The entire conversation between Kinger and Pomni, as Kinger remembers his wife and all that, that was a very deep tale. Pomni's character is also very interesting, dealing with the madness, fighting the madness, the horrors of her dreams, the horrors of living in this world, all of the struggles, and I guarantee you as the series goes on, I'm going to get to learn more about Ragatha, more about Jax, more about Gangle, more about Zubul, all these different characters that probably have very emotional backstories, or maybe they can remember who they are in the real world. It's just all very interesting and very unique, and I like this show a lot. Animation-wise, it's also brilliant. I love the way the show looks. I like that it's bright and whimsical in a world where everybody's losing their minds to it. It's just a very interesting concept, and overall, I think it's very, very good. I mean, I don't usually throw out 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10 just for nothing. Those are usually pretty hard to obtain, but because this was so unique, was so different, and genuinely kept me on the edge of my toes, like curling my toes up like an old feeble little man when he sees, and fucking an egg that he could sit on. I don't know what that analogy was, but an old man sees an egg, he wants to sit on it, and he's curling his toes, fiending for more. That is me. That is me right now. Yep, that's me. It's overall a very good show. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you for the support. Got lots of good content on the way, and you don't want to miss it. So drink water, eat food, have a good day, do something you enjoy. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.